Okay, welcome to part 2 of the lesson. So far you should have looked at the statement that we're going to be arguing for or against, thought of your ideas about what you would say to agree or disagree with this statement, accessed the PDF knowledge organiser and show my homework to remind you of your prior learning on this topic, and written down a copy of the speech structure that we're going to use to build a logical and persuasive argument. Once we have done those things, then it is ready to start our plan. And the last part of this lesson is going to revolve around you getting as many ideas and details down into your plan as possible. In order to create your plan, we're going to use a grid like this. So you might like to pause the video here and copy the left-hand column down onto the page. Once you have done that, we're ready to make a start. And we're going to work in the order and the sequence of our speech. So we'll start at the beginning with the top box, and here we're going to make a note of any ideas that will be useful to introducing our point of view. A good question to ask is this: what can I tell the audience to create a good impression? This is your opportunity to create a relationship with the audience, so you want to come across as polite, friendly and welcoming. You might like to introduce a detail about yourself. Perhaps you are a pet owner and you can tell them something about your own pet in order to create a point of a relationship between you. So we're going to pause the video at this point and we're going to note down some ideas that present a clear, friendly introduction to the audience. Remember, this is just a plan at this stage, so you can write in full sentences or in note form, but you want to have more than one idea in that box, please. Off you go. Okay, box 2. This is logos. So here we're appealing to logic and reason. You might want to think about what you know already about pets and the way they are treated. Can you think back to anything you've learned over the last four lessons? Did any of the articles that we've read give us some ideas about the way pets are treated? If you're not sure, a good suggestion would be to pause the video and research 2 or 3 facts about pets in the UK. Perhaps you could find out how many people own pets or what percentage of the population own a pet. Perhaps you could find out how much money people spend on their pets every year, or what things do they do to spoil their pets? Do we do the same things as what we heard about in Japanese society? Do we send our dogs to doggy day spas and buy them designer clothes? Now's your chance to complete box 2. So pause the video and fill out the logos box. Okay, now on to pathos. Remember, pathos appeals to the audience's emotions. So, what big emotional points will I make? Which is a really powerful part of your argument. When you're using pathos, you want to use really emotive language. So you're going to think carefully about your word choices and the way in which you present ideas to really have an emotional impact on your audience. So pause the video and fill out the pathos box now, please. Our next step is a counter-argument. Remember, a counter-argument recognises what somebody may say if they disagree with you. So a question to ask is, why might people disagree with me? And what can I say to challenge them in order to prove that my argument is right? Think back to your agree and disagree grid. This should have some points in it to help with your counter-argument. Pause the video and complete that now. Finally, we have the ending of your argument. Here you want to leave a strong message with the audience, either something they can think about or something that they can take action on. Okay, so now you have your argument. Why don't you compare your plan to mine? And again, if there is anything here that you would like to borrow, any ideas you think, yeah, I like that one, that would work with my argument too, you can also add them into your grid. So for my introduction, I'm going to try and make sure I say hello to my audience, that I welcome them, that I come across as friendly and polite. I'm also going to talk about the fact that I think pets are wonderful and that they can bring great happiness to our lives, as I think that most of my audience would agree with that. And finally, I'm going to mention that I too have a pet dog, and this is a lurcher named Teddy, but I couldn't imagine my life without him. In my second paragraph, I'm going to use logos. So I'm going to use some facts here. So I actually researched a couple. I found out that 50% of UK adults in the own a pet, and surprisingly that £2.4 billion is spent on our pets in the UK every single month. And I've added to that a bit of context. I wanted to say where I think that money was going, so it's not just on the things that they need, but also all those extra things that we like to give our animals, such as treats, outfits, toys, treating them like members of the family. For my pathos, my big emotional argument, I'm going to say that I think perhaps this is too much, that pets are just spoiled. They've become pampered and overindulged, sometimes really overweight. And I can make reference here to some of those Japanese pets, for example. You might find an example from that first text that we read. I'm also going to say that I think animals should serve a purpose, that they might be there to provide a particular role or to improve our life in some way, but perhaps they shouldn't be treated like a human. My counter-argument says why I disagree, says why some people may disagree. So I'm going to say here that spoiling pets might bring companionship and happiness. However, in my view, I think that we really don't need to overindulge. We don't need to spend all that money to make this happen. Animals are pretty simple, really. They're happy with basic things such as shelter and food and love. And finally, at the end of my argument, I am going to leave a message with my audience. So I'm going to urge them, encourage them to think twice before buying that doggy Christmas calendar or manicure kit, to think twice before booking them a pet spa day or buying a pair of tiny designer sunglasses. Perhaps I'm going to suggest that money would be better spent being donated to an animal charity or a rescue centre or shelter to help animals in need instead. Okay, so your final chance here to add any further ideas to your grid before you take a picture of that work and you send it over to your teachers. Thank you for listening, Year 8, and I look forward to working with you all tomorrow. Bye!